Hi everyone, this is your happiness coach and psychologist Sakshi Mandhyan, and I'm here with my father, Mr. S.P. Singh. We are back again with the series on lessons from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic. It's called Let Work Be Our Everyday Meditation. Like we all know that in our day-to-day hustle, we tend to multitask and we tend to put our attention to various things. So that leads to a lot of chaos in our mind. It leads to a lot of fatigue, and so we'll be talking about how we can use concentration and focus to bring the most out of the work that we do, and that's the whole and sole purpose of the topic today. And also, since our childhood, we have heard that Srimad Bhagavad Gita talks about the karma theory. So we'll be putting a lot of emphasis upon it and discover how karma theory can actually help us to understand the importance of focus and how we can make the most out of it. So, Papa, does Srimad Bhagavad Gita talk about work and meditation, and how our work be done as meditation in our day-to-day routine?
Sakshi, you are very right when you mentioned that the karma theory of Lord Krishna's, which is a very significant part of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it has actually inspired generations since centuries. And to fully understand the import of this wonderful theory, let me first share with you the principal verse which talks about it. So when we go to chapter 2 and verse 47, therein Lord Krishna says, Karmanya vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phal hetu bhurmate sangostuva akarmani. Now, this verse, which is in 2 lines, looks very small, but it has 4 very profound messages. And these 4 messages actually constitute the foundation of the renowned karma theory. So let me break it into those 4 messages. The first message is that you have right only over your actions or your work, which means work you should do with a lot of concentration, but your right is only limited to doing your work. The second part says, which actually comes from the first part, which says, and therefore you have right only over your acts or work, but not on its fruits. And when I say not on its fruits, because as per Lord Krishna, although in our general life we feel that we are working so hard and we should have commensurate results coming our way and all that, but Lord Krishna says that the results that happen because of our actions are not squarely dependent on our acts. They are actually dependent on many other things, which is like our past sanskars, the sanskars of the people we are interacting with, the place, the circumstances, the situation in which a particular transaction or an action or a work of art is being executed. So therefore, this second part is about you have no right over the fruits. Now the third part, which in my view, the third message, in my view is the most profound, which says that you should not take yourself to be the doer, which means whenever we do anything, we always carry a conviction that it is I who's doing it. Whereas as per Lord Krishna, all our senses are inert, and it is because of the benevolence of the Almighty that we are able to execute various things and accomplish so many things. And therefore the most important message out of this third lesson is that we should avoid the kartritva bhiman, which is the pride of a doer. So we should not carry this pride of a doer that I am doing it. So the moment you get away from this, and I'm reminded of a very humorous acronym which has been given to the second message, which is you have no right over fruits, which says you have right over actions, not on fruits. The acronym is NATO. Okay. Now this NATO doesn't mean the Russia-Ukraine, NATO controversy and all. This NATO means not attached to outcome. So all that I do is driven by a netto which is 5,000 years old.
Wow.
Okay, so this one came only a few decades back. So, and the fourth lesson which we get from this verse 2/47 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is that we have no right to become inactive ever, which means when we are in the process of doing something, at times things don't fall our way the way we are expecting them to, or they don't actually happen the way we want them to, and therefore some kind of inertia, indifference, etc. sets in. So Lord Krishna says, and he means very, very clearly, that if every human being has been endowed with, say, 5 senses, sensory organs and 5 motor organs, we have no business to waste all these endowments of ours, and we have to remain active. So there, these 4 messages therefore make it more than clear that every work that we do is no less than meditation. We in our common parlance say work is worship. So it is nothing other than saying that if a work is done with 4 principles in mind, it would always be like a meditation.
Beautiful, Papa. So this explanation is really wonderful. But at the practical level, when I see this, where you say one shouldn't be attached to the fruits of his action, it sounds a little, it's difficult to appreciate, right? How can you be not attached to your the actions of your fruits and still be working and still be focused? And doing the work that you're doing?
I think your concern, your objection is really valid, and yes, this sounds pretty impractical on the first sight to appreciate that somebody would be working hard and with all zeal and enthusiasm and 100% commitment while remaining unmindful of the results that are going to be there. You are very right. But first, let's see at what kind of fruits we are looking at whenever we do any work. So the first most basic fruit is the physical fruit, which is the salary that we get if we are in a job, or maybe some income or profit from a business that we are in. So this is the physical fruit. Now, and this is the basic fruit that we are looking at. Now, when we move forward, we are talking about the emotional fruit, which is working in a team, working in a group, working with people, forging ties with colleagues, having those informal gossip sessions and everything. So this gives a different kind of, expectation for a fruit. The third fruit that we are looking at is the intellectual fruit, which actually means that you start thinking that yes, I should be seen as somebody creative, as somebody performer, who's a performer, super performer. And the fourth, and which is certainly the most detestable, the fruit is the fruit of false ego, which is we start feeling that yes, I have done something extraordinarily big, I should be seen as an outperformer, I should be seen as a dominant player, people should praise me. Now these are the fruits which, when we run after them, they vitiate our whole exercise. And therefore in chapter 2 itself, in verse 49, Lord Krishna says that all these fruits are to be shunned. You are not running after these fruits, but as discussed in in the initial discussion, the 2/47 verse, which is about karmanya vadikaraste, you should be mindful of those 4 lessons always. Do your work, don't run after fruits, don't take yourself to be a doer, you can't be inactive. Now I'll tell you quickly in terms of what are the gains when we actually don't look at the fruits and we go by the initial verse that we had already discussed. The first and the foremost fruit is advantage is that since we are not looking at the fruits or results of our actions, we are able to concentrate 100% on the work that we are doing. One. Secondly, since we are taking it to be like a worship because our 100% commitment is there, we would be 100% compliant. Thirdly, since we are not looking at the fruits, and therefore we would never have the feeling of reaching out to those fruits come what may. You see, so the the kind of degeneration that could set in our everyday behavior gets warded off or gets eliminated, because we are not doing that. And the most important advantage of this is, since we are unmindful of the results, whenever things don't happen as per our expectations, we would not get bewildered, or we would not get shocked, or we would not have those times of depression wherein we find that things are not happening the way we expecting them to. There lies the kind of personality that Lord Krishna wants to see in each one of us, wherein we are equipoised whatever be the results of our actions, and we are able to 100% apply ourselves into the job at hand.
I definitely now have insight on the aspect of how you can be unattached to the fruits of your own actions and still be working completely focused, because then the benefits that you get are incredible.
Absolutely.
You don't experience anxiety, you don't experience the restlessness, you don't experience that frustration in you. So the benefit is there. So, and especially that fruit of false ego, that really clicked with me, that it shouldn't be there. So Papa, with this wonderful explanation of the fruits of of your actions, do you have few examples of people who have lived their life this way?
Oh, there are hordes of such examples, and just to take a few names, just think about the lives of people like Lokmanya Tilak, or Annie Besant, or say Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa. Now their lives are no less than treatises on unattached action or unattached work. While I am discussing this, I am reminded of a very important observation made by the secretary to Mahatma Gandhi, Mr. Mahadev Desai, and he writes in one of his articles that in most of the congregations that Mahatma Gandhi would be addressing, Mahadev Desai would be directed by Mahatma Gandhi to first recite last 18 verses of chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And when he recites it, the whole audience repeats it. And it was such a brilliant way of starting a session, because these 18 verses are nothing but a blueprint of unattached work or Nishkam Karma. So we have brilliant examples in front of us, and all of them actually lead to one extraordinary message that Lord Krishna gives to all of us in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is shun external renunciation and run after or grab internal renunciation. So
that's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
So what exactly is internal renunciation?
Yeah.
I've heard external renunciation, but how do you do internal renunciation?
Now, external renunciation is somebody, as we have heard stories about people, they would leave their families, they would leave their businesses, their children, anybody, friends, everybody, and they'll go to some, some mountains or some forests, and they would like to concentrate and would like to actually reach out to the real truth. But Lord Krishna says the robustness of a human being lies in the fact that he remains in the midst of all these allurements and everything, but still renounces everything, which is being in the midst of all these aspects or factors or circumstances or situations, but still being in a state of renunciation, which is what is known as internal renunciation. Now I'll give you a brilliant example of internal renunciation, which is of Guru Nanak, who was our first guru in the Sikh tradition. And if you look at his life, you'll find that he spent years, more than 24 years, going from one place to the other to spread his message, and must have walked more than 28,000 kilometers. But last 18 years of his life, he spent all these years at Kartarpur Sahib, where this brilliant Gurdwara is, this famous Gurdwara is. And what he did was, these 18 years, he demonstrated all his teachings, all his lessons by living exactly the same life he had actually preached everybody to follow, which was, getting up early in the morning, doing meditation in the company of all his family members, friends and others, going to the field, doing work like any other farmer, work hard, and then coming back, preparing food, sharing food, evening, again the congregation where, thoughts would be shared. So what is happening is, you are doing everything without being attached to the evils that are attached to, the fruits that we are normally concerned about when we do anything. So these are the brilliant examples, and I'm very sure, as we have discussed, if in our present, circumstances also, if the working executives, if the housewives, the youngsters, the players, the politicians, anybody, anywhere, if we are able to imbibe those 4 lessons of Srimad Bhagavad Gita's most important verse, which is the Karmanya-Vadikaraste verse, I think slowly, it will not happen overnight, but over the period, we'll find that we would certainly reach a stage of being an equipoised personality, wherein good or bad, high or low, nothing matters much, and nothing can deviate our concentration from the work that we are presently doing.
Beautiful. I think, especially when you spoke about what Mahatma Gandhi did in the conference, it in fact takes me to the corporate time as well. You can have a particular ritual which can help you build the teams, and at the same time you're building a same level of value system for each other. And then when you're working with the purpose of working, you anyway yield all the results.
Absolutely.
Right. So,
absolutely.
But if your focus is on the result too much, then the process goes for a toss.
Yeah, because your concentration also gets impacted. Just think about a lady or a small child who's moving on that tight rope, with some utensils on her head, and she is walking on the tight rope. If she starts thinking when would she reach the other end, she would certainly fall down.
Absolutely.
If she enjoys the every next step, she would be able to walk on a tight rope without falling down. So this is true about the life also.
In fact, I remember the other time when we were discussing, you gave me examples from tennis also about the same topic.
Somebody losing concentration and all.
Yes, absolutely.
I can quickly take you there. There are 2 examples. One example where the concentration was intact. One example where the concentration was more on the results. So let me take the negative example first. So this was this famous tennis player Jana Novotná. She was from Czech Republic, and she is playing the finals of the Wimbledon in 1993 against an ace player, Steffi Graf. She is one set all, third set leaving 4-1, and at the game point, which would have made it 5-1 in her favor, she must have started thinking about how life would be once she becomes the Wimbledon champion for the first time. And just imagine, at such an advantageous position, in the next 11 to 12 points, she could win only 1, and she started losing almost every point, with the result that she lost the final despite being in a very, very commanding position, because she lost track about the work in hand, started thinking probably about the results that are going to be there. Now, in contrast, I'm also reminded of a great spell of bowling by this famous leg spinner who died recently, Shane Warne. He was playing against West Indies in a World Cup match. Maybe it was in Mohali, semi-final of 1996, probably World Cup. And what happened was, they were in a commanding position, West Indies. They just needed 40 runs from 10 overs with 8 wickets intact. And the cricket history knows about it, that Shane Warne was given ball by the Australian captain Mark Taylor. The next 8 balls bowled by Shane Warne are regarded to be the best 8 balls ever bowled by a bowler in succession, one after the other. Now, these 8 balls, maybe he gave only 1 run and he took 3 wickets.
Wow.
And with the result that Australia was able to turn around the situation, they were able to see the match. So these examples actually reinforce that the work at hand has to be given total concentration, unmindful of what the results are going to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think after listening to whatever you have said, it makes a lot of sense to focus on the process instead of the result, because when you focus on the results more than the process, all the internal overthinking, anxieties, and then aspirations come into the picture, which puts your distraction into the role. So your distraction is working more than your attention. So the idea is focus on what you're doing right now, and practically also the results will 100% follow.
Lord Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, good deeds always lead to good consequences. So we don't need, I think, we don't need any other validation from any other source. So keep working hard. Sakshi, it has been a wonderful session, and I'm very sure we have both learned something new today.
Absolutely.
Many more sessions are going to actually follow.
Yes, absolutely. And I think for the viewers also, let's shun the fruits of our actions at the moment, and at the same time renounce the internal so have the, vices that we have at the moment.
So that would be the real spirit of a fighter who remains in the midst of difficulties, still emerges a victor.
I'm super motivated. I hope you guys are also motivated by watching the video, and you take away a few lessons from here and apply them. Thank you all.
So good.
Thank you, Papa.
It was a wonderful session. Hare Krishna.